Do you guys hear all that? Tweedroo, tweedroo, tweedroo. The spring bird song is starting up and I'm in love. There are cardinal couples absolutely everywhere searching for nests together. Every single street I go down, there's a new cardinal couple in a new bush looking for the perfect place to nest. There he is. This guy was eating lunch, and every street I walk, just like there is a pair of cardinals searching for a bush in which to make their nest for early spring nesting. There are squirrels eating some of the walnuts that are really, at least I think they're walnuts, walnut-looking nuts that are really common in the area. So I wanted to come over and see if I could find the nut that this little guy had. And let's just say I found the jackpot. Oh my gosh, you're so cute. Are you wondering what I'm up to? I'm just trying to show everybody how cool you are. I got some adorable pictures of you eating your little nuts. I had no idea that you would have so many of them. Look at these. This is hilarious. This is the spot that he was sitting. And then if you look down around it, it's just full of his lunch. All of these, this isn't gravel. These are all pieces of the nuts that he was eating. And they're everywhere. How many lunches have the squirrels of this area had on top of this bench? What did they have to look at while they were hanging out here? What thoughts did they think while they looked out over the grassy knoll where all the kids apparently play? But it's in the middle of the afternoon right now, so that means in a suburban, typical American neighborhood, this place is abandoned. I feel like I'm walking through a ghost town, to be completely honest. Ah, but I spy. Hi. Oh, you're so cute. I like you. I'm just checking out your lunch. Totally not anything creepy about that. But I spy a bunch of robins over in the field. So we'll go look at the robins and leave this guy to his amazing lunch. Isn't this so cute? Oh, I love it. This is one of my favorite tree trunks in the forest because, oh, and you can see it's starting to crack along here, but because it tells so many stories. At some point, apparently, somebody spray painted on it. And at some point it used to be a big tree because it's so big around. Clearly this was a big guy. And it's full of holes. Woodpecker holes, maybe chickadees. Who else would want a piece of this tree? Look at that. Isn't that so cool? It reminds me when you go to the beach and you see the sand eroded away by water or little crabs. And it also reminds me of those cave systems in Arizona where people used to live in caves that they carved out of the side of cliffs. It makes me think about Petra. And this is kind of like the Petra tree to me because it's old. It's kind of become in its own way like a miniature mountain for all the birds. And the birds have been harvesting from it for all of the bugs that live inside. A few of them apparently made nests in it. I see a bunch of nesting material in that one up there. But this is my Petra tree, and I'm glad to introduce you guys to it. We'll have to come back and see how long it has, because it is getting a little bit eroded on the ground, and we have some mushroom growth finally. But it's just a really cool guy. It has a lot of stories to tell. It's like reading a piece of, it's kind of like reading a book that everybody in the forest has kind of been adding their own little collaborative touches to. It's a canvas, basically, a canvas of life in the forest. My petra tree, and I really like it. Woodpecker, robins, chickadee. I just heard a very angry red squirrel yell at me, and I see more cardinals here in the forest. Impossible to see through all of the thick branches behind me, but somewhere in there is a vibrant dot of red, a little cluster of feathers with a tiny little fan that is the cardinal. So there's cardinals everywhere. I think they're a very, very common North America bird because I've always grown up with cardinals, but honestly I think I see more of them in Michigan than I did growing up in the Midwest. Well, Missouri, some people consider this the Midwest. I think I saw a lot of them in North Carolina. But it's been so wonderful. Like living here in Michigan, we've had a chance to really sit and watch as Papa Cardinal, as I call him, comes back to the same nest spot every year. I'm not sure if it's the same female. The one that he has this year is just as spooked and flighty as the one from last year. And last year they raised a son together, a juvenile male. So in the year before they had 2 or 3 babies fully fledged and come by my bird feeder. So I've gotten to really know cardinals here in Michigan. So in a way I kind of associate them with Michigan, but they're a very common bird in case you guys aren't familiar with the species here in North America. And they're really beautiful. The males are super vibrant, so I tend to take a lot of pictures and videos of them. The females are much more drab. They're kind of like the same outline, but oh, and there go a couple of robins pairing off as well. It's spring. But the females are a little bit more like brownish to blend in to those nests that they're trying to make. Oh. We have some chickadees fighting. Let's go see what that's about. I think he's trying to find a spot to store his seed. Almost everybody is overhead right now, checking all of the treetops for loose pieces of branch, loose pieces of bark that they could gather, probably for nesting material. I think it looks like when they fly to the spots where the branches have broken off the trees that maybe they're looking for those convenient cavities that trees sometimes leave behind when the branches break, in order to find a good nest spot. And I actually do have a good nest spot. Now that I think about it, a lot of the nests that I see tend to be in broken or dead tree pieces because it's probably easier to dig through the dead wood. So when I notice a lot of the nest spots that I've seen the red-bellied woodpecker and the chickadee already make in this forest, they are in branches that are already dead. Like one's in a tree trunk and one is in a branch of a tree bush thing that has broken, so that branch is no longer growing. And I guess that would make it a lot easier to dig through if all you have is this itty bitty little beak. That'd be like using my nail to try to dig a house out for myself and my eggs. That's a lot of work. There's a bunch of melanistic gray squirrels, also known as black squirrels, but they're just a variety of gray squirrel, running around the forest right now too. They're busy fighting. So far the fox squirrels aren't busy fighting. I don't know if the fox squirrels are ready to breed yet. They're just running around with all those walnuts in their mouth. This is so much fun. Look at how beautiful all of these are. Oh, I love them. Oh, wow. I can't wait for the weather to warm up and all of the little mushrooms to make a reappearance in the forest. But until then, mossy green turkey tail things. My little epitites that I love so much, growing and adding even more greenery on top of greenery. I'll take it. Here's a piece that fell off. Look at how beautiful those individual rings are, and it's so soft. It's like petting a tiny hamster or a lamb's ear plant, if you have ever pet a lamb's ear plant. And I only can suppose that lamb's ear plants are named after how soft lamb's ears are, but it's ridiculously soft, beautiful green striations. On the back you can see where all of the little individual, equally soft underside pieces are. Oh, and a little bit of moss. Ah, I can't wait to go home and do more research on epitites again so that I can know a little bit more about that. Just, it's like a beautiful piece of art. Like a slow spreading forest ripple that got frozen into fungi form. I must be feeling kind of poetic today, huh? Well, in some ways it's still a little cold to be out here. You can probably see my nose is a little red from trying to warm it up. But with all of the birds around and all the squirrels acting so feisty and everybody digging up the leaves and like searching under the leaf litter for leftover stored bits of yummies that have been left behind by a forgetful squirrel since winter, I think it's spring. Slowly but surely, I think it's spring in Michigan again. Here in our little patch, kind of in the center of the mitten, which is kind of like mid-Michigan basically. And we're gonna watch this forest unfold over the coming weeks and fall in love with all of its little details, find its other little ripples or its hidden cities of Petra in a beautiful tree trunk that has given new life to the forest long after the tree has stopped growing itself. And hopefully this is going to be the norm now. This isn't going to be something I do because I have worked really hard or something I do because you should be burning those calories in the forest. Come on, hup to, hup to. This is going to be something I do because this is like my heart unfolding in the sun, even if it is still extremely chilly. This just feels right. And it also feels right to bring you guys with me. For a long time I thought it didn't count if I came to the forest with the intention of taking pictures or vlogging or sharing the things I find here. But for me, those are all ways that I look at the world through a lens that makes it more vibrant and alive to me. I don't know if I would have slowed down and noticed that there was a epitite that had fallen. Oh, there's a little robin near me digging for more things in the grass. Oh my gosh. You probably can't see him, but he's in this little patch right here. I love this. And there's a really mossy tree trunk over here that has fallen down. Can you see it? Of course you can. You guys can spot the green. I know you can. I know I've trained you at least that well. But yeah, I used to think it only counted if I came here with a purpose, so that I could be like, behold, this is Bush von Buschsen, the variety of genus blah blah blah, and tell you all about the biology of stuff. I thought it didn't count if I came out here to record videos, because was that work? But this isn't work. This is heart work, I guess is what you could call it. And I think it's because I think we need more examples of people, of everybody, not just me, but everybody who loves this world, going out and loving it in the ways that they do. For me, that's taking pictures, telling stories about what the animals could be up to in the forest, making up names for the different parts of the forest, and fun stories about their history. I loved those stories as a child, and I think that made me fall in love with the world more. Reading the stories about the borrowers, or Peter Rabbit, or stories about like I made up this whole tale once of like these little fairies that lived in the forest and how they would use all of the things they found in the forest to tame the mice that they rode like horses, and the finches that they rode like pegasi, and how they would gather the moss to make their bed. And I think that There's so much value in the way that so often when we talk about getting outside, it's for like burning those calories or making sure that you get your vitamin N, plenty of sun for your eyes. And I definitely think there's value in talking about the scientific benefits of forest bathing and the benefits of just being out here. But I would really like to at least start down a new trail for myself. Maybe I'll find more people as I go who also are down there, who come out to the forest to tell stories. Just stories of what they love, of what they see, of what they enjoy. And it doesn't have to be told through the lens of validating it through science. It doesn't have to be told through the lens of validating it through cardiovascular health. It can just be told through the lens of love and creativity and imagination. Sorry, that's what joy journaling and that's what living as a joy artist in our lives, I think, is. I know that sounds kind of cliche, kind of silly, but it's something I really want to emphasize to people. It's not, you don't have to validate your joy, and just realizing, oh, I can bring you who I care about so much, and I can come to the forest with you and you guys, and we can just make up stories, and we don't have to validate it by like, is it popular in the analytics? Am I burning enough calories? We can just do it because we love it, and that I'm gonna do it because I love it. I'm not gonna sweep this back under the rug and go, oh, I better get back on top of all the stuff that's the money makers. I'm gonna live by something that has more value than that. And I'm gonna admit that doing what you love and pursuing that has more value than that. Well, clearly the sun is shining upon me, quite literally, so this must be the right path, even if it is gonna be one that we make up ourselves. I think my brother once told me that the creator of Pokemon actually came up with the idea of Pokemon. He's autistic, the creator of Pokemon, and my brother, which I think that's why he loves Pokemon so much. My heart, knowing that about my brother, that he found such inspiration from learning that the creator of Pokemon also had autism. Oh, don't tear up, Seri. You're a little emotional because it's almost spring. You're coming alive. But the creator of Pokemon apparently came up with the idea, and a lot of his ideas, when he was in the countryside. I don't know if it was because he was like on a family farm or something, or on a family retreat, but it was out in nature that he came up with the idea for Pokemon. And I wonder if there's validity to that story, and where I could find more information. Maybe like an autobiography of some kind, because that would be really cool and very relevant. Maybe we'll start making up some fake Pokemon. Maybe we'll do a little bit of Pokemon Go now and then when I get a new phone that stays alive for more than 2 minutes. That would be really fun. Lots of mud and not a lot of greenery other than the moss on the bottom of some of the bushes and trees and some of those weed looking like guys over there coming up just yet. But I know on another path here in this forest I spotted some snowdrop flowers coming up. So let's go see if we can see more signs of spring. Okay, I have lost the chickadee tree. However, I have video from the other day of the chickadee at the chickadee tree. And I will have to admit, maybe living by my heart, coming out in the forest more, like daily, and the other huge adventures that I'm going to share with you guys when the time's right, that may be making up the next foreseeable future bit of my life. I think the fringe benefit of coming out here and practicing for those adventures and practicing for the most dramatic life change I've ever made, it's not kids. I think the fringe benefit will be I might develop a sense of direction. I feel kind of like a gatherer headed out, a treasure hunting adventurer, which is exactly what I am right now. That's what it is when you go out and you search for these precious things to carry back. And I feel like the fun, definitely the fun. I'm doing better at teaching myself the fun counts as a valid measurement of my life. But the fun and the pictures and the video are like precious gemstones that I feel like I'm scooping up to my chest while we're exploring the forest. And I just feel so happy. I feel like I stepped out my front door and found an abundance of riches that I couldn't find sitting at my desk, buying into the work harder, work stronger, earn more mentality. Wow, this is so exciting.